You ever notice how some people over 60 walk into a room and instantly feel magnetic, while others practically disappear into the wallpaper? And no, it's not about looking 25 again. Nobody's asking you to become a fitness influencer with glowing green smoothies and a ring light in your kitchen. Thank God. What's fascinating is that the people who become truly attractive, memorable, and deeply respected later in life usually aren't the loudest people in the room. They're not trying too hard. They're not begging for attention. They're doing a handful of things differently, and it completely changes how people respond to them. Because here's the truth. Nobody says out loud, getting older doesn't make someone less interesting, but giving up on curiosity, confidence, energy, and connection, yeah, that does. And people can feel it immediately. You've probably met both types. One person over 60 who feels alive, playful, sharp, warm, confident. You leave the conversation thinking, wow, I hope I'm like that someday. Then there's the person who acts like life ended 10 years ago, and now they're just emotionally waiting in line at the pharmacy. Huge difference. One of the biggest mistakes people make after a certain age is shrinking themselves without realizing it. They stop trying new things. They stop flirting with life. And I don't even mean romantic flirting. I mean that spark, that energy, that sense that you're still engaged with the world instead of slowly checking out of it. Because being remarkable at 60, 70, even 80 isn't about pretending you're young. It's about refusing to become emotionally old. That's rare. And honestly, people are starving for that energy right now. You know what makes someone unforgettable? Presence. Real presence. The kind where you feel like they actually see you when they talk to you. Not distracted, not bitter, not mentally composing complaints about gas prices while you're mid sentence. Some people get older and become more self absorbed. Others become more interested in people, more emotionally intelligent, more grounded. Guess which ones everyone wants around? Exactly. And let's talk about confidence for a second, because this one matters more than people think. There's something incredibly attractive about someone over 60 who stops apologizing for existing. They're not constantly saying things like, oh, I'm too old for that, or people my age shouldn't. Says who? The Council of Boring People? Confidence later in life looks different than confidence at 25. At 25, confidence is loud. At 60, real confidence is calm. It's someone who knows who they are without performing it every 5 seconds. That energy is powerful. And here's where people accidentally sabotage themselves. They start talking like their best years are behind them. Listen carefully to how people describe their lives. Some talk like the story is still being written. Others sound like the credits already rolled. Nobody wants to feel emotionally buried alive. The rare people, they still have goals, they still laugh hard, they still care about how they dress, how they move, how they treat people, how they grow, not because they're trying to stay young, but because they understand something important. Vitality is partly a decision. And yes, your body changes with age. Of course it does. Knees start making sound effects, you stand up too fast, and suddenly it's a spiritual experience. We get it. But energy isn't just physical, it's emotional, mental, social. Some people are exhausted because they stopped feeding themselves anything new. Which brings me to something wildly underrated: curiosity. Curious people are attractive. Period. When someone over 60 is still learning, exploring, asking questions, developing skills, traveling, reading, trying weird hobbies, or even just staying genuinely interested in life, they become magnetic. You can feel that openness. Meanwhile, people who think they already know everything, they become rigid, predictable, emotionally stale. Nobody wants stale energy. And can we talk about humor for a second? Because honestly, one of the sexiest qualities at any age is the ability to laugh, especially at yourself. The people who age best emotionally are usually the ones who stop taking themselves so seriously, not immature, not reckless, just lighter. There's something deeply attractive about someone who can say, yeah, life is messy, bodies are weird, everything hurts a little, and we're still going to enjoy ourselves anyway. That attitude changes everything. Another thing remarkable people over 60 do? They stop chasing approval. This is huge. You know how freeing it is to be around someone who isn't desperately trying to impress everyone? They're not performing. They're not shape-shifting to fit every room. They know their values. They know their boundaries. They know what matters. That kind of groundedness becomes incredibly attractive with age because it's rare. Most people spend decades trying to become acceptable to everybody. The remarkable ones finally realize peace is more valuable than approval. And ironically, that's usually when people respect them more. Now, here's a sneaky one nobody talks about enough. They maintain warmth, not fake positivity, not toxic, good vibes only nonsense, real warmth. The ability to make people feel comfortable, seen, welcomed. You can be intelligent, successful, stylish, fit, all great. But if people feel judged around you, they'll keep their distance. The people who become unforgettable later in life usually master emotional generosity. They listen well. They encourage people. They make others feel bigger instead of smaller. That's rare now, especially in a world where everybody's trying to win the invisible competition of who's the most exhausted and cynical. And look, this doesn't mean pretending life is perfect. Some people over 60 have survived heartbreak, loss, health scares, disappointments, betrayals, things younger people can't even fully understand yet. But there's something extraordinary about people who go through all of that and still remain open hearted. That's strength, not hardness. Strength. And maybe that's the biggest shift of all. The truly remarkable people don't spend their later years mourning who they used to be. They become more fully themselves instead. That's why people lean in around them, because deep down, everybody wants permission to believe life doesn't end after a certain age. That joy, attraction, confidence, purpose, connection, all of that can still grow. And the people who embody that, they become unforgettable without even trying. So if you're over 60 or heading there someday, remember this. The goal isn't to become younger again. The goal is to stay alive inside, curious, warm, engaged, confident, playful, honest. That combination is incredibly rare now, and rare people always stand out. If this hit home for you, stick around. There's a lot more we should probably talk about.